Take one. As we've been in this chapter of Mark 10 for the last several weeks, it really is a culmination of a section between Mark chapter 8 through 10, where Jesus defines discipleship. And as we especially see in Mark chapter 10, it's more of a sense of what is not discipleship as he portrays it. And really the definition of discipleship is that challenge to see what Jesus is really about. And especially as it is focused and narrowed in Mark chapter 10, we come to the rich young man several weeks ago, where discipleship was about obedience, obeying the commands, all these things I've kept since my youth, and his possessions that he wasn't willing to divest himself of to follow Jesus. The section right before this story in Mark 10 is the story of James and John asking for the right and the left hand of Jesus. They were looking for their position of honor. Again, not what discipleship is about. And so, too often, as the rich young man and as James and John tried to define discipleship, we see in our world today that we'd rather see discipleship as a sign of God's favor in our life. That we've done the right obedience, that we've received the right blessings, that we have the position of honor. And then we get to the story at the end of chapter 10 of Bartimaeus. Can that truly be about discipleship? Actually, it looks more about the struggle. Because not only is it Bartimaeus, but we see that it is blind beggar Bartimaeus. He's sitting by the way. He's not walking along with Jesus as the disciples were. He's sitting by the way. He's sort of sidelined. And truly, if you're a disciple, are you really sitting on the sidelines, or are you there in the midst of the action? And what we see is where Bartimaeus finds himself is the typical place for a beggar. It's that place where you're the irrelevant outsider, that you really don't matter. Or at least to those who are churched, you don't matter. You're that irrelevant outsider that has no rights, no relationships, no connections to Jesus, and ultimately no relief. In fact, the people that are surrounding Jesus, the people of God in this story, are like the people of God in the church today. When we see these irrelevant outsiders, we shush them into silence. That thereby is the struggle with discipleship. The struggle that you and I have in living out our faith and being those disciples. I know as a pastor of a congregation, I don't always see the way of Jesus. As he wants me to shepherd a congregation, sometimes I just don't get it. And I say, Lord, please tell me. And I know as people of faith try to live it out, it's not seeing the way of Jesus. And so in that case, we don't fully understand what he wants us to do, to be church, to live out being church. And just like he did with Bartimaeus, just like he did with the whole world, just like he does with you and me, Jesus encounters our blindness, where we can't see what he wants us to do and to be. Jesus encounters our poverty, where in our sinful behavior, we show ourselves as poor in our discipleship. And Jesus encounters our brokenness. And he did that when he came onto this earth, when he dealt with Bartimaeus, when he deals with you and me today through his word and through the sacraments. And just like the question that he asked James and John, he asked the question of Bartimaeus. He asked the question of you and me. What do you want me to do for you? I know I've said that question probably out of frustration, both to my kids, my wife, my congregation. But Jesus asks it with a different tone of voice. What do you want me to do for you? That's the first take. Next, take two.